Her scream didn't sound human. It tore through the narrow cabin of Flight 776 like a jagged knife through silk. Blood soaked her once immaculate white uniform, dripping steadily onto the aisle. Her eyes, wide with a terror no language could describe, were fixed on the emergency exit door, ajar, just enough to let in a violent rush of wind at 38,000 feet. Passengers cried. Others froze in shock. Someone was missing. Another was dying. But the worst part? The one person who could have stopped all of this, the senior flight attendant, was nowhere to be found. Before we continue, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notification bell to get notified for more, and share to friends. Where are you watching from? Please tell us in the comments. We love seeing how far our story goes. 6 hours earlier, the sun blazed over the Miami tarmac. Flight 776 to Sao Paulo was delayed, agitation thick among first-class passengers. The crew had just been rotated in after a mechanical issue grounded the original team. Among the replacements was Naomi Daniels, a sharp-eyed flight attendant known for her precision, professionalism, and something darker. Naomi wasn't originally scheduled for this flight. She had traded shifts, offering a generous favor to a junior colleague. But her smile didn't reach her eyes. Her motions, though flawless, had an edge of calculation. She moved through the boarding process with robotic grace, scanning faces like a security system, until her gaze paused on seat 4A. A young girl sat there, pale, nervous. She held a violin case too tightly, as if her life depended on it. Naomi blinked, nodded slightly, and continued down the aisle. 30 minutes into the flight, turbulence began, light at first, then stronger. The captain's voice came over the speakers, calm but with an undercurrent of unease. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've been cleared to change altitude. Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened." Naomi began her checks. The girl in 4 was crying now, silent tears rolling down her cheeks. Naomi leaned in, voice gentle. "What's in the case, sweetheart?" The girl didn't answer, just clutched it tighter. Then came the first sign that something was terribly wrong. A flight attendant named Jordan went into the forward lavatory and never came out. Passengers knocked. No response. Naomi opened the door with the crew key and screamed. Jordan's body was slumped in the corner, eyes rolled back, mouth open. No wound, no sign of struggle. But his hands were frozen around a boarding pass, not issued to anyone on Flight 776. Security protocol demanded an emergency landing. But Naomi stopped the captain. "I think this goes deeper. Let me investigate." The pilot hesitated, then gave her 10 minutes. Naomi pulled aside the girl in 4A. "Who gave you that case?" The girl stammered. "My mom said to give it to the man in the blue coat after we land." "There's no man in a blue coat on this flight," Naomi replied coldly. But she was wrong. Seat 21F, economy section. An elderly man wearing a faded navy trench coat sat perfectly still, eyes closed. Naomi approached him. "Sir." He didn't respond. She reached out, and the man's body collapsed forward, limp. He was ice cold. Under his coat, wires, tape, and a faint beeping noise. Naomi's heart thudded. She ran back to the cockpit, but before she could reach the door, the lights flickered. The cabin dropped violently as if the plane had hit a pocket of nothing. Screams erupted. Luggage crashed from overhead bins. And then silence. The violin case lay in the aisle, open, empty. Passengers stared. Something had come out of it. In that moment, the temperature dropped. A passenger shrieked at the rear of the cabin. Naomi spun to see a woman convulsing, foam bubbling from her lips. Others backed away, too afraid to help. Naomi barked orders. "Get medical kits, blankets, keep everyone calm." But calm was a ghost on that plane. The convulsing woman collapsed, motionless. Her husband clutched her, sobbing. The beeping from the dead man's coat grew louder. Naomi dashed toward the front galley, grabbed the intercom. "This is lead flight attendant Naomi Daniels. We have multiple medical emergencies and an unresponsive body wired with electronics. We need an immediate descent now." The pilot responded, but his voice was strained. "Naomi, Our controls aren't responding. Something's overriding the system. She froze. Hijack? Terrorist code? But this wasn't that kind of story. The girl in 4A stood in the aisle now, her face expressionless, eyes empty. She pointed toward the overhead bin directly above her seat. Naomi opened it. Inside, a second violin case, marked with a strange symbol, a triangle inside a circle. She knew that mark. Everyone in aviation did. It was from a 1987 Rio crash, Flight 117. The only item recovered from the wreckage was a violin case with that exact symbol. The mystery had never been solved. Until now. Suddenly, the plane jerked again. Oxygen masks dropped. The emergency door somehow cracked open. Air rushed violently. A crew member was pulled, screaming, nearly ejected before Naomi locked the lever in place. Something was hunting them, and Naomi had a suspicion who. She turned to the girl. "You're not really a child, are you?" The girl smiled eerily. Naomi didn't wait. She grabbed the intercom again. "This is Daniels. Brace for impact. Something is taking control of this flight." Passengers screamed. Naomi ran back to the mysterious coat man, ripped open a lining. Hidden inside was a thumb drive. She grabbed it and sprinted to the service laptop in the crew area. She plugged it in. A file autoplayed. Footage, black and white, from 1987. A secret experiment aboard Flight 117. Scientists testing the human body's reaction to fear using a bioengineered hallucinogen stored in a violin case. Naomi's blood turned cold. This wasn't a haunting. It was a reactivation. The substance had survived and evolved. Now it was targeting passengers by inducing their worst fears. She had one choice. Flood the cabin with nitrogen from the emergency tanks. It might knock everyone out, but it would stop the hallucinations, stop the terror. She activated the override. Gas hissed through the vents. One by one, passengers slumped. Naomi crawled back toward the cockpit, vision blurring, breath shallow. She reached the door. The pilot lay unconscious. Her hands, trembling, pulled the aircraft into manual descent. She didn't know if she'd make it. She didn't even know if anyone else had survived. But she refused to die in the sky without a fight. Moral lesson: don't overlook the small details. What seems insignificant could be dangerous. And always question things you're told to accept blindly. Human life is too fragile for complacency. Thank you for watching. Stick around the channel for more intense, human-centered stories that hit home and challenge what you think you know. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this story. See you at the top.